We're always so busy thinking about the past or worrying about the future.
And our minds are just racing with like to-do lists.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what makes life feel so complicated. Okay, so today we're going deep on simplifying life. And we're using this book, 100 Ways to Simplify Your Life.
By Joyce Meyer.
Yeah, by Joyce Meyer. She's, I guess you'd call her like a Christian self-help author or
The Bible teacher.
Bible teacher. Yeah, I think she's pretty well known. A lot of people have probably heard of her.
Yeah, very popular.
So we're going to look at her book and kind of try to see, what she says about simplifying life. And, I think the reason we want to do a deep dive on this is because everybody's so busy these days,
Absolutely. It's like we're all just running around.
Always going and going.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard to, just sort of step back and think about what's important and how to make life a little bit easier.
Right.
So hopefully we can get some good advice from Joyce on how to do that. Now, the book is structured in a really interesting way, I think. It's like 100 little bite-sized pieces of advice.
Yeah, 100 tips.
100 tips. So it's not like you have to read the whole thing to get something out of it.
You can just pick it up and flip to any page.
Exactly. So we're going to try to pull out some of the most important or the most interesting tips for you guys today and see what we can apply to our own lives.
Sounds good.
So maybe let's start with one of the core ideas in the book, which is about letting go of control.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, the book is really big on not stressing about what you can't change.
Right.
And, kind of trusting that there's like a bigger plan, a higher plan.
Like God's plan.
Exactly, God's plan. And, I think about this all the time. We waste so much energy like trying to control things that are just completely out of our hands,
Right. It's funny because it almost seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Like if you let go of control, things will just fall apart.
Yeah.
But actually, I think what she's getting at is that a lot of times we're making things harder for ourselves by trying to control every little detail.
Exactly. Trying to force things to go our way when really we should just be trusting the process a little bit more.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into another really important idea, which is setting boundaries.
Oh, yeah. Boundaries. That's a huge one.
Yeah. The book talks a lot about learning to say no
Without guilt.
without feeling guilty, which is hard for a lot of people, myself included.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, I feel like I always want to be helpful and I want to please people, so it's hard for me to say no.
And she talks about how, a lot of times that comes from a fear of disappointing others.
Oh, for sure.
But she says, like, simplifying your life really means protecting your time and energy.
Right.
And sometimes you got to say no to things to protect that.
Yeah, and it's not selfish to do that.
No, not at all.
Because it's actually saying yes to something else. It's saying yes to your own well-being.
Exactly. You're saying yes to something that's more important.
So another idea she talks about, which I thought was really interesting, is this idea of living in the present,
Living in the present.
which sounds so basic,
Yeah.
right?
No, it does.
But it's really hard to do in practice, I think. We're always so busy thinking about the past or worrying about the future.
And our minds are just racing with like to-do lists.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what makes life feel so complicated.
That's overwhelming.
Overwhelming. So she's really advocating for being present in each moment.
Like whatever you're doing right now, give it your full attention.
Exactly. Don't be thinking about, what you have to do later or what happened yesterday. Just focus on what's happening right now.
And that's easier said than done, but she gives some good tips on how to actually practice that.
Right. Now, speaking of feeling overwhelmed, the book also talks a lot about decluttering.
Decluttering, oh yeah.
Yeah.
She makes a big connection between like a chaotic physical environment and a chaotic mental state.
Which I totally believe.
I do too. I mean, if my house is a mess, I can't think straight.
It's like your external surroundings are a reflection of what's going on inside your head.
Exactly. So simplifying your physical space can actually help to clear your mind.
I like that. So it's not just about getting rid of stuff, it's about getting rid of that mental clutter as well.
Right. It's about creating a sense of calm and clarity.
So moving on to something a little more uplifting, she also talks about the power of gratitude.
Gratitude. Yeah, that's a really powerful one.
And it's kind of like a shift in focus
It is. It's about shifting your focus from the negative to the positive
from what you don't have to what you do have.
and what you're thankful for.
And she says that can actually lead to greater happiness.
Yeah, it's not just like a feel-good thing. It actually like rewires your brain to notice the good stuff.
That's interesting. So how do you actually practice gratitude?
Well, she talks about things like keeping a gratitude journal, just like
Sure.
writing down a few things every day that you're thankful for.
Okay. I could see how that would be helpful.
Yeah, even if it's just small things.
Right, like I'm grateful for this cup of coffee.
Exactly, or the sunshine.
Or the fact that I'm having this conversation with you.
That's a good one.
Okay, so another thing she talks about, which I thought was really important, is avoiding toxic influences.
Toxic influences. Ugh, yeah.
So that could be like negative people,
Negative media,
bad habits.
anything that just drains your energy.
And it's kind of related to boundaries, right?
It is. It's about protecting yourself from those things that bring you down.
So you have to be intentional about who you spend your time with and what you expose yourself to.
Absolutely. And sometimes that means like cutting ties with people who are not good for you.
Which can be hard, but it's important.
It is. It's about prioritizing your own well-being.
So for those of us who are perfectionists, and I know I could be a bit of a perfectionist sometimes,
I think we all have our moments.
she has a really good message about embracing imperfection.
Embracing imperfection.
Yeah. She says that progress is more valuable than perfection.
Which is so true.
Because if you're always striving for perfection, you're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, you'll just be paralyzed by fear.
So she's saying it's better to just start somewhere
And make mistakes along the way.
and learn from your mistakes.
And keep moving forward.
So burnout is another big topic that she addresses.
Oh yeah, burnout is real.
And she really emphasizes the importance of rest.
Rest. Like actual rest.
Not just like watching TV or scrolling through social media.
Right, like doing something that actually recharges your batteries.
So that could be like taking a nap,
Going for a walk in nature,
reading a book,
spending time with loved ones.
whatever makes you feel relaxed and refreshed.
Exactly. And she says that rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
It's essential for a simpler life.
And for your overall well-being.
Now she also gets into some practical stuff like simplifying finances.
Finances, oh boy.
Yeah, that can be a big source of stress for people.
Huge.
So she talks about things like living within your means,
Making a budget.
reducing debt,
And just being more mindful about your spending.
which can all be really helpful for reducing financial anxiety.
Absolutely. It's about taking control of your money instead of letting it control you.
And finally, she talks about something that I think is really important, which is trusting God's timing.
Trusting God's timing.
So it's this idea that things will happen when they're supposed to happen.
And that trying to force things often just leads to frustration.
So it's about being patient
And having faith that there's a bigger plan,
and that things will work out in the end.
even if it's not on our timeline.
So I think one of the things that's so great about this book is that it's really applicable to everyone.
I agree.
Whether you're a busy parent or a student or, just someone who's feeling overwhelmed by life.
And it's grounded in biblical wisdom, which I think is helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, it provides a spiritual framework for simplifying your life.
And the tips are really practical. It's not just like vague advice.
Right. It's like she gives you concrete steps you can take to actually make a difference.
Which is what I love about it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into 100 ways to simplify your life, I think the main takeaway is that it's possible to create a more peaceful and intentional life for yourself.
It is. It just takes some effort and some commitment.
And it's about focusing on what truly matters.
And letting go of the things that don't.
So, as you go about your day, I want you to think about these areas we've discussed: control, boundaries, presence, clutter, gratitude, toxic influences, perfectionism, rest, finances, and trust. Which one of these areas resonates most with you right now? And what's one small step you can take today to simplify your life in that area?
That's a great question to ponder.
I hope this deep dive has given you some helpful insights and some practical tools to start simplifying your life today. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us.
Grab 100 Ways to Simplify Your Life by Joyce Meyer, now on sale for $13.95. Don't miss this chance to build good habit and achieve remarkable results. Buy now today.
Like and subscribe for more Bookhaven podcasts.